also want to see myself here when we get live. Okay, where are we gonna show up first? Live, yes, it looks like we're live across YouTube, we're live across LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. Oh, there we go. Notifications are right there going out. So this is the Business and Property Entrepreneur Podcast. That is exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. Resilience, the transformation and the success. How Rebecca, our amazing guest and tribe member today, went from 20 years, right? It was 20 years?
20 years, yeah, 20-year career.
Wow, a 20-year career in nursing to now full-on property entrepreneur. So first of all, thank you for coming on. We've got loads to talk about, so we're going to get straight into it, Rebecca. But
Sure.
you guys listening and watching here, yeah, very good. Thank you, Ian. Yeah, tag a few people, tag a few tribe members, a few non-tribe members, because I think it's really important that people hear the truth, which is why we do our podcast, stream them live, so it's unedited, not just what people want to present. It's the right down to the core of exactly what happens right here and now. So tag a load of people, and you'll be in for winning some prizes. Those people that hit the criteria, you got to share it, and you got to tag at least 10 people to qualify for that. So you had a 20-year career in nursing. Yeah, what was the moment that you said to yourself, like, I want to change my life?
My health, really. I was constantly in the firing line and having sickness review meetings and having hassle from my managers. So, yeah, just because of my health, really. I've had a kidney transplant and I've had various other medical problems, and I just found I was getting hassle from work. I needed a business that I didn't have to work in, I could just work on, and from a laptop wherever I am, where if I'm poorly or not. And then it really hit home when my kidney took a nosedive sort of in 2023, and I was having conversations about having to be back on the donor list, and all of these conversations with the consultants. So that really drove it home for me.
Yeah. So like, when you was like, it's your health, why, like, how did property come about? Did you already know, or did you, like, something happen that was like, oh, property would be a good way for me to do it?
Yeah, so I brought my first buy-to-let with my sister actually in 2006. And I think that's given us every experience that you could possibly have, good and bad.
So did you just do that by yourselves? Like, hey, let's just buy a house and rent it out?
Yeah, just by ourselves. Yeah. And then we've slowly grown from there, and just kind of the blind leading the blind, really.
Yeah, but, like, and we'll probably touch on it a little bit later, because you went through some big challenges. But, like, what's the difference between, like, why would I need somebody else to do it? Like, if you're going to be success, I want to be a self-made millionaire and all these things. We'll come back to that a little bit later. Yeah, but so what was, like, specific pushbacks that you faced when you tried to do it by yourself? You was with your sister, you're buying this buy-to-let. Like, what were some of the challenges or walls that you ran into?
Yeah, it was just kind of systemizing. I mean, I didn't really know anything about systemizing. It was a hard slog. My sister and I would do a lot of the refurb ourselves, and where we were trying to sort of scrimp and scrape money here and there, and thinking doing it ourselves would be the best option. And so we're just kind of stuck, kind of just waving around in the dark, really. So
yeah. Was there anything that happened that, like, maybe, like, what put you off, or thought, wow, how can I really make a living out of this? Was there anything that made you want to quit?
Well, for many years I was working as a nurse and then maintaining and managing my portfolio with my sister, so I could see how it was achieving, even with very little input at sometimes. And we just wanted to get educated. which we did. We went to various different educational sites, and obviously this is where I found Real Life. And so we could see that it was working, but it was very challenging while I was employed, and then also dealing with, nightmare tenants and all of the other hassles that come with managing your portfolio.
Yeah, because depending on how you set things up, can depend on how much time that yourself deals with it. But I want to go and dig straight into maybe, and you can tell me whether it is one of the hardest lessons or what you got out of it. But you found yourself in a position losing £77,000. Is that right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So tell us what happened.
Yeah, it was slightly more than that as well when you think about legals, but yes, it was that. So what happened? So I'd had about 16 years experience in property, and then I thought, right, I'm going to go to the next level. So I met my business partners, and we decided to take on a unit of 5 apartments. So we did that in July 2022. And it just became one hurdle after the other. So initially, the investor finance fell through literally after we'd signed the company let agreement. So then I was finding I was having to rally round, raise more finance to furnish the premises and do the refurb. So that was the first hurdle. Then as we were signing, obviously I said, could I, to the agent that was managing for the landlord, I said, could I have the EICR certificate, the electrical certificate? And they promised me that I could. By the time I'd actually received, then it came to light basically that the electrics were faulty. So, and also the apartments hadn't been split because they were initially one unit. So all of the electrics hadn't been split. So that was another challenge. But even after all of these challenges that kept being thrown my way, I kept kind of dealing with them. You just keep going, you just keep dealing with them.
Yeah.
What else went wrong? And then I think the final catalyst with it was we were about to go live in December, and I went down there up there, Liverpool. I went up to Liverpool, and they just were riddled with damp. So bad that it was literally growing through the walls. And shortly after, I had a builder in to give us a quote. They came back that it was going to be major structural changes. All of the external walls had to have damp lining, plasterboard, repainted. Outside, it all pointed up. It was £20,000 worth of damp work to be done.
Yeah, wow, that's insane. And I know, obviously, when we were talking about you coming on here, yeah, you said like you avoided, or you kind of through this navigation, you was avoiding bankruptcy, and you talked about like the power of the Real Life Tribe. So like, what was then? You already talked about you kept dealing with every problem that came up. So just talk to us about that. Like, what was this like? If you was facing bankruptcy and all these challenges, and like how you got yourself out of it.
Yeah, so the Real Life group was just amazing for me at that point in time. I didn't know which way to turn. I didn't have the answers. I didn't have the knowledge, and I didn't have anyone around me either to turn to. But of course, Real Life, you do the masterminds every single Monday. I plucked up the courage to get on there and ask a question, and I just asked. It was Lewis Perrin, one of the coaches, and he was coaching that night, and I asked him, I just said, what can I do? How do I get out of this? And his advice was just so valuable. He pointed me in the direction of have a chat to Sean Cushing with 258 Accounts. And we, over past year we've navigated the dissolving the business.
Yeah, wow, that's really super. Look, you know, sometimes, you know, I hear stories, even, you know, people like Robert Kiyosaki, and it's like, yeah, you know, obviously does success these days, but like, you know, had past business partnerships. I myself have had business partnerships and not turned out, tens of thousands of pounds in lost money, but also lost opportunity and time and all the rest of it. But like, as we always say, if you're going to lose money, if you're going to lose time, if you're going to lose opportunity, whatever you do not lose the lesson. Yeah. So what were some of the biggest lessons that obviously now you have, because that can never be taken away from you, like who you became in the process? Like, what would you say some of the biggest lessons that kind of then got you turning this situation around?
So be a part of a network, be a part of a group, you know, be close to people that have experienced these issues. You know, so many people within this real life group are helpful. You know, they don't want anything out of it. They're just there to help, you know, to support everybody. So yeah, get connected really with like-minded people and a network.
Yeah, because most people they just want to either know, oh, how do I do it, which is basically like when everything's going all sunshine and rainbows. Yeah, but like, then when it comes to, wow, there's a real problem here, sometimes like answers, guidance, they're few and far between, you know, because everyone was just talking about the dream picture, and now something's gone wrong. It's almost like, you know, people don't want to have anything to do with it. Yeah. So how critical was it to just like get the advice, you know, get moving in the direction? And what were some specific things that you actually did to like really turn the situation around?
Well, I had to take legal advice about extradition from a franchise that was failing, because that was another hurdle I was facing. So I had to get legals about that. And then thankfully, Sean Cushing just helped me through, you know, how to close the business down, basically.
Good. So obviously this resulted in a change of circumstances, and then you went on to rebuild. And is it true you did then £133,000 worth of revenue in 9 months?
It is, just from 2 rent to SAs.
Yeah, I mean,
from 2.
I mean, here's the thing. One thing I know, and I've watched you over the time, is that even though there were challenges, you were very kind of, well, how do I say it? Like, some people, they just bury their head in the sand, right? And they just don't want to admit it. They think, oh, you know, I'll be a failure, whatever. But you was always, you know, seeking advice and help and wanted to twist and turn and get out of it. Yeah. And it's almost as if like, well, you know, that happened, but now let me just move on, because, you know, I need to move on to the next thing. So like, what just talk us through, because like people listening, they probably don't start, or maybe they've had something happen to them, so they don't want to do it again because, you know, oh, I don't want that bad thing to happen again. Like, just tell what kind of mindset, or like what kind of things did you use to help you like just keep going, even though like crazy things were going on?
Yeah, I remember saying to my mum, you know, I was like, how am I going to get out of this? And I said to my mum, I said, the only way I'm getting out of this is to do it again, but do it on my own, or with a better business partner. I've got a lot of determination and things, you know, I never let things kind of overwhelm me almost.
Yeah. And do you think like anything that you learned over your 20-year career in nursing helped you? You know, anything that you've seen there, or the determination? Where does the determination come from then?
I think with being around your group, you know, real life group, and the training that I've been to, you know, it really hones in on how to operate a business, and stamina as well, and just drive, keep going, consistency. So yeah.
Yeah, I know, you know, some people will probably just think like, oh, I just need to know the strategy. I just need to know how to look on Rightmove. I just need to know how to approach a builder or whatever. But like, what would you say some of the extra things are that you've now learned that you was like, oh, wow, I wish I probably knew that in the beginning?
Well, I don't ever want to know how to get out of a sticky situation with a business again. So sorry, say that question again, Mark.
Yeah. So like, what did you wish you knew before that's
Mm.
like on top of, the standard things people think they need to know? Like, oh, I need to know what rent to SA is, how to do it, or I need to know how to get a build team and do a renovation. Like,
Yeah,
what, what
it's
what's the real things that are like, wow, no, this is really what you need to know.
yeah, it's more about personal development, I think. And I mean, anyone could go out there and buy a house. I mean, a lot of people buy their own houses, don't they? But it's more about how to deal with these situations, and the mindset is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. So some people, they'll run into challenges. Yeah. Or, they'll post online or whatever and say, oh, this isn't easy. Yeah. So what's your viewpoint of like what's hard, what's easy, or do you just see it for what it is?
Yeah, I mean, you do have elements that are they're more difficult. I think for me, I find, doing public speaking is very difficult, but really it's building connections.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So financial freedom,
Mm.
life after nursing. Yeah. How does it feel compared to, how life was before?
Amazing. I go around smiling like a Cheshire cat.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. So, what's been the biggest personal shift or like mindset or your daily routine? Because what some people might not realize is they're kind of held accountable to the structured life of, I've got to get up because I've got to get ready. I've got to commute to
Mm.
work, go to work, come back, so that's what brings the structure. Now, when that goes out the window, what kind of personal or mindset shifts did you have to make to now be holding yourself accountable because you're not going to a place of work where, I need to check in and clock in and out at a certain time?
Yeah, I mean, I still do. I still kind of manage myself like I'm doing a 9 to 5 job, but it's very much around my own time scale and my own flexible hours, really. But I consistently get up at sort of 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. My partner and I'll do maybe a jump rope workout, and then we'll go upon our day with doing our admin work. So yeah.
Nice. So yeah, so some people like they kind of lose all structure, or they'll think, oh wow, I can just do what I want when I want now, and kind of lose that accountability. So
Mm.
other than what you've already told us, like what specific advice would you have for some people who maybe they want to quit their job? Like
Mm.
how can they make that transition? How can they be like, well, I don't want to just quit my job straight away. I do want to get into property. I want to, start generating an income. Like, what can they do? Because obviously you've already been through that journey and that transition.
Yeah, you need to structure your day. So have like initially when I first started out, I just planned it all on my phone, on my calendar. This is time when I'm going to be looking at property. This is when I'm going to be making my calls, and just structure your week. And keep yourself accountable, keep yourself, and get up early as well. um, yeah, just and do a workout, because that always helps to kind of keep you on an even keel.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I remember, when I was working like 100 hours a week and I thought, this is how you got to do it. You got to hustle, you got to grind. My physical, health went totally out the window.
Yeah.
But like, it's such a big part of like how you do anything. It's how you do everything, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So if you could speak to an older version of yourself, like from the past, yeah, what advice would you have been given? Now you know everything that you know.
Don't worry about what other people think, and just take consistent action. Just keep going, and ask questions. So important, no matter how silly you might feel. That was really difficult for me because I've never been very good at asking questions. And yeah, I would tell my younger self to just ask questions, whether it's really silly or not.
Yeah, that is so true. Like, I mean, let us know in the comments, like, have you ever felt a time where it's like, oh, if I ask this question, people are going to think I don't know what I'm talking about, or people are going to think like, I don't know anything. And I think that's probably a big fear as well about, raising finance, because you've said one of the things that help you get out of this situation is raise more finance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, people will probably have fear. They'll be like, oh, if I'm already in debt and, all of this, why should I take on more? And I think like, the whole debt thing, which is a different conversation another time. But like, what helped you be like, because you already said, well, the only way out is do it again, but better.
Yeah.
So what gave you the confidence to go raise more money, go and get more debt?
I think it was just that I had to. I had to go again to get myself out of the pickle that I was in. So I like a challenge, I'm thriving for something to do, and friends keep saying, you wouldn't be you if you didn't have something to thrive off.
Yeah, but that's not everybody's mindset though, is it? Because people's mindset is to just curl up, go back to doing what I'm doing. I've seen so many people, like they either think they've got their better idea, or they'll just want to do the bare minimum and think, why am I not getting the results? And they'll just go back to doing what they're doing, go back to the day job if they did quit it, in the first place. So what advice would you have to other people to help them stay on a track, consistently make moves? Yeah, obviously problems are going to happen, but just like, by taking moves, what info, what guidance, what would you give them?
Get educated, join a group like Real Life Success, and just keep learning. Really, the more you learn, the more you're going to succeed. So yeah, just join a group, be involved with people that give you energy. When I've come back from your events, I'm absolutely buzzing. And it's just, you just want to get involved and want to keep taking action.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Super powerful, straight to the point. And I think, it's inspired people. And obviously when this goes out on all the different other podcast channels, 36 different podcast channels, people hear this, they're going to be like, wow, look, Rebecca, she's still smiling, she's still fighting fit and actually doing better than ever before because of all this resilience and these setbacks. So Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for everybody watching. And remember,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Until next time, do the right thing for the right reason, because that's the only way you discover your true potential.